Chapter 18, Granddaughters. (2008 to 2011). The next 4 years at Riderwood were largely uneventful. Every Tuesday and Thursday evening, we played dominoes with our friends, the Khans, Sherm Krasny, who eventually dropped out because of poor eyesight, Wendy Shane, Emil Jetmar, and Rita Dempsey. Every morning at 9 a.m., I met with a group of men by the coffee machine in the Montgomery Station lobby, one of the Riderwood community centers. We were known as the Liars Club and swapped stories for about an hour each day. I was the youngest in the group at age 76 and eventually age 78. When in Israel back in 1999, we visited Chaya Ben Joseph and her and Jimmy's daughter Mahal. It was the first time we met our Israeli granddaughter and immediately fell in love with her. It was a nice visit, and Chaya served us a lovely meal. We took Mahal to the zoo in Jerusalem, led by our tour guide Gilad, my nephew and Meir's youngest son. Several years passed, and we didn't see Mahal again until the 21st century, when she made several trips to visit her father, Jimmy, and her U.S. grandparents, Diana and I. Mahal first came to the States in the summer of 2009 and spent some time with us in Ogunquit and swimming in Little Sebago Lake at Jerry's camp. She was delightful, saw Singing in the Rain with us at the Ogunquit Playhouse, and immediately imitated the rain dance sequence. The previous summer, our granddaughter Olivia, Peter's daughter, had visited in Ogunquit, and we had a wonderful time with her. We took her to see My Fair Lady at the Ogunquit Playhouse, and she mimicked the singing and dancing of I Could Have Danced All Night. Although they had yet to meet, the two cousins, separated by thousands of miles and an ocean and 3 continents, already seemed to have a lot in common. Oji, Olivia's nickname, was fun to have visit and share both pool and ocean swimming with me, her grandpa. Oji and Mush, Mahal's nickname, were to meet in Israel and become fast friends, but that story will be told a little later in this biography. In December of 2009 and into early 2010, Mush came to the States again to visit and saw meaningful snowfall for the first time. It was a wonderful visit for Diana and I as we began to know Mush better, and she in turn began to feel more comfortable with her American grandparents. Oji's bat mitzvah adventure. Diana and I, in concert with Peter and Karen, agreed to have Oji's bat mitzvah at the Wall in Israel. The trip was well planned, and the Weiner family, all 9 of us, flew from New York to Israel. Jim, Vicky, Peter, Karen, Oji, Rachel, Henry, Diana, and Phil. In Israel, we stayed at the Mount Zion Hotel, where we were joined by Mush and Chaya for our welcoming dinner. Chaya left later in the evening, and Mush and Oji stayed with us for the remainder of the trip. Tour, trek, adventure. We had our own bus and guide, Gadi Hadani. Suffice it to say, Oji performed magnificently at her bat mitzvah service, which was held at Robinson's Arch. She read from the Torah and sang the prayers. Even the Israeli family was very impressed with her command of Hebrew as she recited her Torah portion and the opening and closing prayers. I felt a very deep and moving sense of pride in the way Oji conducted herself and performed the service. I knew my dad would have loved to be a part of the ceremony, and in my heart, he was. Oji's dad, my youngest son Peter, and Karen, his wife, were bursting with a sense of deep pleasure and satisfaction at the achievement of Oji. In the evening subsequent to the bat mitzvah, we had a raucous dinner at the Mount Zion Hotel for the whole family, Americans and Israelis. Peter had arranged for a karaoke disc jockey, and everyone, particularly the younger folks, enjoyed participating in the singing and dancing. Oji and Mush sang together and bonded together, as we had hoped first cousins would. The days after the bat mitzvah were spent touring in Jerusalem, Masada, En-Gedi, Tiberias, the Golan, Kfar Blum, kayaking on the Jordan River, Haifa, Jaffa, Tel Aviv, archaeological digs, etc. The entire trip was well chronicled by my son Peter, who prepared a photo essay of the adventure, which is available in a separate document, a bound book to be reviewed by those interested. After the Israeli trip, Diana and I went to Ogunquit for the summer. We had a restful summer. It was at this time that I relinquished the reins of president of the Riderwood Jewish community to Mimi August. I had mentored her before leaving for Israel and also upon my return. She has proven to be an outstanding president of the RJC, In Ogunquit, we had the usual visitors, Frank and Diane, Mark and Jane, Selma and Irv. We also had the pleasure of my old college roommate Peter Foreman and his wife Liberta for a week. In addition to seeing the sights of Ogunquit, we drove up to Bowdoin, our alma mater, and on to L.L. Bean. It was a nice visit. In February of 2011, we visited Pete and Liberta in Palm Desert, California for a few days. At the close of summer 2010, we went back to Riderwood and resumed our retirement community routine. In April of 2011, Moosh came to the States and we celebrated Passover together. I had the task, although a pleasant one, of leading the first Passover Seder for the Riderwood Jewish community. There were over 200 people in attendance: Mickey, Sharon, Billy, Levon, Sharon's sister, Jimmy, Victoria, Moosh, Matt, Suzanne, Sophia, Ruby, Diana, and I enjoyed the event. The second Seder was held at Rachel and Henry's house, where 28 people attended, including our family group from the Riderwood First Seder. It was a magnificent feast. Everyone had a great time and enjoyed the meal. Henry's famous turkey and Rachel's innovative dishes and desserts. The day following Rachel's Seder, Moosh, Jim, and Vicky flew to Los Angeles, where Moosh and Oji had a reunion. They all went to Disneyland together and reportedly had a grand time. Upon their return to the East Coast, we had a nice farewell dinner at our Riderwood apartment. We provided Moosh with information on our family and its background to satisfy a school project she was working on.